Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy Monday, if it's a Monday where you are, or if it's the end of your day. I think it's even Monday still in Australia. Welcome to another version of the Business Renovator. I'm Coach Phil. Excited to be here to share a book that had an impact on me many decades ago. But before we go there, I would like to go to my sponsor. I love the sound of that music. It pumps me up actually quite a bit. I want to go to this book here, Customer Delight 365, which was curated and authored by my buddy Brian Monahan. And today I want to talk about this particular quote. It says, "You can't get much done in life if you only work on days when you feel good." Jerry West. Brian, my buddy's take on that, it's important to create a positive working atmosphere for yourself and your employees. We all have days when we're feeling under the weather or off our game. When we have a foundation of positive, the floor is raised. The minimizing the impact of our customers. Pardon me, let me rephrase that. Minimizing the impact on our customers. Plan for your bad days. They won't feel so bad when you know they are part of the plan. And of course, I picked that one because it resonates with what I want to talk about today. This particular book, Psycho-Cybernetics, which was written and published in its first edition in 1960. Maxwell Maltz, Dr. Maxwell Maltz, started out as a plastic surgeon. And he would do his magic surgically on people's noses and other extremities that were of a concern for people. And what he discovered was that even if you do the surgery, the people don't feel much better, if at all. And often, many times, he could realize that there was something more deeper and better that would work and be more impactful. And one of the things he understood and learned was he went back to school, became a doctor of psychology. Why did he do that? He was inspired to do that because of the results he was seeing with people who he had performed plastic surgery on. The ones that hadn't, maybe had a nose surgery, reducing the size of their nose or straightening it out, or something to do with maybe in the female side, the breasts. Could be a wide variety of things. And he would do those surgeries and they wouldn't feel any different. So he studied psychology. And as a result of that, what he became was a plastic surgeon utilizing psychology before he utilized a scalpel. And many of the times, his patients were able to avoid surgery and change their self-image, which is what I want to talk about today. Self-image is the magic formula or the magic idea behind all of us living a life that we prefer to live. We show up based on how we see ourselves, not how we could be, but how we see ourselves. So if we change our self-image, we can get different results. This book, Psycho-Cybernetics, is probably the first book that was published that spoke about self-image and how the impact of that was on us. Just want to go to some banners here that I created to help me remember to do stuff. So this is what I was talking about. Self-image, your key to a fulfilled life. I originally was saying to a successful life, but I guess it could be that, but it's really fulfilled life. However you want it to be. If you change the way you talk to yourself, the things that you see on the outside will be different. If we can raise your self-image and your self-esteem, You'll be able to increase your self-efficacy, which is just a fancy word for getting more stuff done, or increasing your causative power. And that's causative, not positive. They sound very much the same, but one's different than the other one. Obviously, one starts with a C and one starts with a P. Anyhow, Dr. Maxwell Maltz, had such an impact on the world as he introduced this concept of self-image. And if you change your self-image, other things change along with it. People from all walks of life have benefited by it, myself included. And maybe you've heard of Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins. Those are just three of the people off the top of my head I know that were impacted by Dr. Maltz's work and his study of self-image psychology. In this version that's up on the screen right now, this is I think this one was, well, actually, let me have a look. I have a copy of it right here. It was another edition. There's been several renditions and new publications of the book, and it's changed a little bit, but every one of the authors that had the book after Maltz died kept it in his voice when they rewrote it. So this particular one was republished in 2015, so it's more current. Some of the stories are relevant to things and people we know of today versus back in the early 60s. There are 15 chapters in this particular book. I guess I'm doing a book review because I'm not the expert in psychocybernetics. I'm a student of it. And with the 15 chapters, I'll just list them off. Basically, you're looking at self-image, your key to a better life, discovering your success mechanism, your ASM, your automatic success mechanism, which Dr. Maltz talks about in the writing. Imagination is the first key to success. First, we need to imagine it in our mind, obviously. That's where we imagine things, before it'll show up on the outside. Walt Disney, way back when people were being asked by him to invest in his dream, many people laughed at him and said, that's a crazy idea, I can't invest in that. And then they weren't laughing obviously afterwards, because he went through that, built it, and I believe there's 3 or 4 versions of Disneyland around the world. 2 in the US I know of, Disneyland, Disney World, and then I think Europe and one in Asia somewhere. They talk about dehypnotizing yourself with your false beliefs. So we become what we think about most of the time, which is something that's touted by many of the thought leaders in the self-development plane. Earl Nightingale had a program called The Secret to Success, I think. No, The Strangest Secret was what it was called. And the strangest secret was we become what we think about most of the time. So what are you thinking about? Is it taking you towards your goals? Oh, you don't have any goals? That's the first thing, is to decide what you want to do. And then imagination generates the ways we can get there. So just imagine yourself at your future best. What would you look like? What would you be doing? Who would you be hanging out with? How to utilize the power of rational thinking. Relax and let your success mechanism work for you. Yeah, if you try to force this on a conscious level, it won't work very well. You need to, well, you don't need to do a darn thing. What you might want to consider is to relax into it. Set your intention, set your goal, look at what you're aspiring to, and then lean into it and relax while you're doing it. Have a high intention, a low attachment to the outcome. You'll be pleasantly surprised what shows up in your life, the information, the people you meet to help you get to where you want to get to. How do I know that? Well, I follow this kind of, I do this, I guess. It's really, it's not just the book, but again, I'm a student, not an expert. You can acquire the habit of happiness. Wow. Could you imagine having a habit of happiness? That's a chapter. Ingredients of the success type personality and how to acquire them. So this is an ongoing working mechanism to work on yourself. I'm holding the book up here as I read the titles. If you see something waving behind the cover on the front, the failure mechanism, also how to make it work for you instead of against you. My goodness, look at that. Failure mechanism, how you can leverage that to take you to the next level. How to remove emotional scars and how to give yourself an emotional facelift. Now, I talked earlier about Maltz being a plastic surgeon and then utilizing that skill was along with his new acquired skill back then as a psychologist, and surgically doing it when it needs to be done medically that way. But he was also very good at psychologically removing your scars and negative emotions. How to unlock your real personality. Do-it-yourself tranquilizers that bring the peace to your mind. How to turn any crisis into a creative opportunity. Something I do along that line is when I see a problem as an opportunity to create the tension between where I'm at right now, the problem I don't want, and what's the solution I'm looking for that I might not even know how to do it. But what would it be if I didn't have the problem? And then I create the way and invent the way intuitively, innovatively, and creatively to find a resolution to that solution. So I change it from a problem to an opportunity, and in between there's a challenge. So I look at these as opportunities to grow, improve, and serve myself and others better once I get over the angst of it being a problem. But that stirs up the creative juices so I can solve for it. So psychocybernetics helps in that regard as well. And how to get the winning feeling and keeping it. And more years of your life and more life in your years. Wow, isn't that amazing? You can have all of those things by studying a book called Psychocybernetics, written by a surgeon, and he was also a psychologist, so he has 2 doctorates. One of my favorite quotes is this one. Yes, you expect success. It's a play on words. So it's really up to us as individuals to take responsibility, be accountable for ourselves, and move towards that which we decide we want to do. And stop thinking about all those things that are bothering us in our life. The only time I think where that makes sense to do that is recognizing that you're dissatisfied. You don't have to be unhappy, but dissatisfied with the way your life is going on, and looking at what it would be like if you didn't have that issue. And then what's the opportunity? What could you learn? Who could you meet? Who could you add to your network? What would your world be like if you're able to solve for the problem that showed up in your angst? I just got distracted. There's one of my good friends, Randy Jeffy. He says the coach is on the air, but Randy's here with me, and I love this guy. He shows up often to see what I'm saying and share out with the world. Speaking of sharing, if you're watching this now and you're intrigued, you like what we're talking about on the Business Renovator, let me get rid of that banner. Please share it out. We'd appreciate that. And if you wanted to send me an email in terms of getting more information or suggesting a guest to be on the show, because I do have guests on Wednesdays and Fridays, just never on a Monday. Be happy to have an interview and talk with them and get their message out there. The Business Renovator is primarily 3 keywords that we focus on, and that is sales, marketing, and mindset. So today is a mindset kind of idea. Psychocybernetics is a great book that helps people in that regard to more easily change the way they see themselves, their self-image, and see themselves at their future best. Terrific book. I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. Now, I also have a Facebook group. It's the Business Renovator. So if you would like to hang out and get some more information and see these replays, you can also see them there. They're on YouTube as well as LinkedIn. And remember to treat yourself well, and remember that you are wonderful. And I want you to spell wonderful with a U. So W, capital U, or full. Wonderful, because the you are truly wonderful. Have a wonderful day, terrific week, and much success to you in May.